So on this week's episode of Be More Super, the podcast, we've got a great guest. This guest is starred in Angels, Angels of S.H.I.E.L.D., Council of Dads, and upcoming on the 15th of September, Vampire Academy. It's J. August Richards. Welcome to the show, sir.
What's up? How you doing?
Do you know what? I'm doing great. And you know what? You being on the show, it's even better, I've got to say. So before we...
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
It is a pleasure. And before we start rocking and rolling around Vampire Academy, I wanted to find out a bit more about you, because literally I followed your career from nearly from the start. I can remember you from Angel. And I've got to say, sir, you do not age at all. What is your secret? Because when I first started watching Angel, I had more hair and I wasn't grey. So what is your secret of keeping youthful?
I appreciate that. I feel every second of it, or I feel like I see it when I look in the mirror. So thank you. I can't say that I have a secret because I feel like I look my age. So, and I'm kind of happy to look my age. I mean, there was a period there where I was having trouble being cast because people in town knew how old I was and they wanted to cast me in my age group, but they felt like I didn't look my age. So I spent about 3 years being underemployed or unemployed before Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And, I think I got that part because of my relationship with the producers, as well as, my connection to the characters. So, but I'll just receive your compliment. Thank you.
And I've got to say, the last 2 years have been quite hectic, and it's affected actors, performers worldwide regarding the theatre and production, and us as human beings. How have you kept positive and moving forward over these last couple of years, during the pandemic?
Man, I don't know that I've kept positive. I've done my best. If I'm being honest, there was a moment there in the heart of the pandemic where, it was really rough. It was really, really rough for me. And I remember I'm in my office right now, and I remember sitting on this floor, and I was like, you know what? I have so many things that are bothering me right now. I have so many big issues in my life that I need to just untether them from one another. So I sat down on this floor, I took 8 sheets of blank paper, and I wrote down all of the things that were bothering me, like the isolation, all of these other things, and I put them all on the floor, and then I started to say, okay, which problems really are interconnected and which ones influence one another? And I created this chart of of things that were bothering me. And I remember just meditating on that chart in this room right here, and really untangling those things and realizing what were things that I could do something about, what were things that I couldn't do anything about, what were things that I was going to have to accept, what were things that I was going to have to change in order to get through it. And it's funny because just a few weeks ago, I realized, wow, I have a new relationship to all of those issues that are and were going on in my life. And, I felt like, man, that was a really good technique to write it down, to sit on the floor and write it down. So I guess that's how to answer your question.
Well, they often say that when you're worried about something is to get it down on pen and paper. You'll be able to sort it out a lot better. And because our minds, work overtime, and we normally make things bigger than they actually are. So, no, that's a fantastic technique. But let's go back in time. Why acting? Why not a 9-to-5 job? What really, got your juices going for this profession?
That is such a great question, because just last week, for the last 2 weeks, I've been doing a guest star role on the show, The Rookie, starring Nathan Fillion. And, I haven't done a guest star in a really, really long time. And, a guest star is when you're on one episode, you're kind of the guest of the week, or the story revolves around your character for that 1 week. And, I was so complimented by the fact that they offered me the role, and I wanted to work with Nathan, and a lot of it was going to be with him. So I said yes. And, I was walking on the Paramount lot, which is where we shot Angel 20 years ago, and I recall how surprised I was how much I still love this work. I
Mm.
really love this work of being an actor, of figuring out a character, of figuring out what that person wants, of figuring out how to communicate it, of watching my work and figuring out what was effective, what choices did I make that worked and didn't work. I mean, I am a purist when it comes to acting. That's really my entire involvement in this industry. I'm not one of those people who goes out a lot, goes to events, goes to premieres, who socializes and hobnobs, because I really don't care anything about that. There are people that I meet in everyday life that I find more interesting than people who are considered the most interesting people in the world. So yeah, I mean, it's in my blood, and I just love it so much.
And then from rocking on Angel to becoming a vampire, how do you pick your roles? And when receiving scripts, what are the things that really get you excited about potential roles?
I'm sorry, I'm just turning on the air conditioner because I realized that it's kind of warm in here, and I didn't turn it on. There we go. Boom. I'm at a stage in my career, quite honestly, where I don't choose the roles don't choose me. We choose each other. Um, so they gotta want me, I gotta want them. I Even before I had any sort of name in the business or whatever, I was very selective about what I chose, but sometimes it didn't choose me. I do feel like when a role is right for me, I'm very clear on it. Like even this role that I just did on The Rookie, it is in alignment with what I want to say as an artist, what I want to say as a human being, and when people see it, they'll understand. I feel like it's odd because I feel like my career from the beginning, all the way back to the Cosby Show, and even before that, there's an arc, there's a narrative, and all the roles fit into that. So, what it takes for me to choose a role, honestly, is if I'm being 100% transparent, and I may regret saying this because I haven't thought it all the way through, but as a black actor, as a gay actor, the roles that I choose have to have an element of leading man to it. That has to have an element of a full human being with a job, a life, a personality outside of being black or gay. They gotta want something really desperately. I recall that after coming out publicly, I got a couple of opportunities to play what I would call a purse. And that is what I would call like the gay sidekick to a female lead character. I'm not doing that. I wouldn't do it as a black actor. I won't do it as a gay actor. So the character has to have an element of leading man to it. Boom.
That is awesome. Yeah, because the thing is, you don't want to be that token, guy on there that's just there for what he's representing. You want a good character, and you want a bit of depth to that. And we're going to talk about Council of Dads, because I've got to say this is such a beautiful show, and I've probably started watching it at the wrong time because it's been very difficult viewing for me. The reason for that is because my dad passed away 4 weeks ago from
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
cancer. But
Oh gosh.
what I would say is that literally the first episode, literally I was in tears the entire
That
episode.
had to be so hard for you.
But this show has got so much heart, and it's written so well that it's actually helped me with a bit of the grieving process because of the storyline and the show itself. I mean, what does this show mean to you? Because sadly, we've only had one season of it, and I'm halfway through, so I don't even know what goes on at the end. But I mean, what does this show mean to you? Because you play an awesome character, Dr. Oliver Post, which I just think is a great character. It really, really is. I mean, what does this show mean to you?
Well, first of all, it means a lot to me that here we are still talking about it. It's been canceled, and it's been, 2 years now? 2 years since it's been on the air. And I love the fact that we're still talking about it. We're living in a time when shows come and go. There is so much content out there. Everything is moving so fast and furious. Things are getting erased from streaming services. And you're wondering, am I ever going to be able to access that show again? So that show was something that was permanent to me. It had the quality to be permanent. And maybe if there weren't so much content in the world right now, it would have been given more of a chance. When I booked the role, my father is also very ill, and and he has been since before I got the part. And that's really what it meant to me, was to really be a tribute to figure out, my relationship with him, and a tribute to my relationship with him and all fathers, and what it means to be a father. And for me, going back to how much I told you I'm obsessed with acting, I had a moment of clarity on that job where, I was really working through what it means to be a father. What would be a great father to me? What does it mean to be a great father? And there was a scene where I didn't have anything to say. And I was just standing in the scene. And in that moment, I realized that I'm doing the best acting of my entire life, because that is all I have to do is be here. And it means everything to the people who I am a father figure and a father to. I don't have to say anything. I just have to be present. Mm-hmm. And in that moment, I understood how much I loved the character, how deeply I'd gone into the experience. And to me, that's the art. No one will ever know that that's what I was playing, or that it was. Maybe they will. I don't know. But for me, it was a profound moment.
Mm. And it's such an awesome show, and people can catch it on Amazon. There's quite a few places you can stream it from now, and it's just. Do you know what gets me really annoyed is that when you get into a show and you can just see how much work has been put into it, and then they cancel it after a season. That's got to be so frustrating for yourself and for the filmmakers and the production team behind it, because it's such a good show.
It is, but at the same time, when it was canceled, Sarah Wayne Callies and I, who plays Robin, my best friend and the mother of the children that we're on the council for, we both said, you know what? If this were a limited series, then it would be over at this point, and we'd move on with our lives, and we'd be okay. So let's look at it as it was just the most delicious limited series that we did, and now we're on to the next
and
thing.
I'm sure they're going to be keep talking about it in years to come. And talking about that show, you openly came out as gay during that show as well to your castmates. Why then and not sooner? I mean, was it something that you really had to do at that moment?
Well, there was no reason to sooner. There was no reason to. In my life, I came out publicly with Council of Dads. I came out to my cast members because I felt like, to have the richest experience possible, I would need to speak from a place of authority regarding the experience of the character, and I wanted to really infuse my own experiences with the role itself. So then I made the choice to come out. That was me coming out to the writers, to the cast. And then I made the choice to come out publicly because it now became time to sell the show and to talk about the show publicly. And I was not going to put myself through that psychological pretzel of trying to talk about something that was so important to me without talking about myself and why it was important, so I just wasn't going to do that to myself. So that's why I did it.
And you must have got so much positive feedback as well, because sadly there are people out there that are scared, to openly come out with the fear of what people are going to think. I mean, what sort of feedback did you have? Anything that you can share?
Well, they're not scared without reason. There's reason to be scared. Um, I'm sorry, what was the question? What was the question of that?
So the kind of feedback that you
Oh,
had
the
once you
feedback.
came out,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the feedback was tremendous. I came up in the industry at a time where it was pretty much common practice to not talk about your own sexuality if you were not straight, right? And also, I had my own personal journey of coming to the clarity of the fact that I was gay as well. So, there was a time when it wasn't even a conversation to be had because I was figuring it out for myself. But the response was life changing in the sense of when you open up and show your own vulnerability, you give everyone within your space the opportunity to do the same thing. And that was the thing that I took the most from it. Oddly, I had some people say to me, oh, I still accept you. I see you the same way. And I was like, bitch, I wasn't asking for your permission. Like, this is not 1980, whatever. Like, we're beyond that. I'm not asking anybody for their acceptance. Because I'm a 48. I was 47 at the time. It wasn't an asking of acceptance. It really wasn't that. But the support and the affirmations that I got and the amount of people who said to me, I had a conversation with my child about their sexuality because of you. Because of you, our child came out to us. That was awesome.
And I think that the change is down to us as parents as well, because I've got two little girls, and for me, I wouldn't care what they wanted to be or who they wanted to be as long as they're happy, and there's smiles on their face no matter what. Do you know what I mean? And
Right.
and you're right in saying that we should have to be able to have those conversations with them. So it's really nice to see. I
Yeah.
mean, do you feel that being openly gay in this industry does affect someone's career? I mean, are there people still in their ivory towers in their big leather seats that still suppress, openly gay people?
Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure. Absolutely. More importantly, though, we're dealing with a century plus of an industry that has been openly hostile to people in the LGBT community. We are just now getting to a point where there are multiple LGBT characters on television and in movies, and we have a presence that is relatively new. So it's going to take more time and more opportunities. This movie Bros is opening, right, starring Billy Eichner, which I had the opportunity to audition for, but I was booked and didn't get an opportunity to do the self tape. But this will be like the first major studio romantic comedy. I just don't want anybody taking their foot off the gas and getting too comfortable, because as a Black person, I know what happens when you get too comfortable. So as a gay community, we cannot, as an LGBT community, we have so many wonderful things, and a tide has definitely turned, but we can't get too comfortable. We got to keep our foot on the gas and continue to fight for representation and fight for roles and such.
And do you think that comes from the writing, or do you think that comes from the studio? To change
All
that?
of the above. All of the above. I learned early on in my career that if I wanted to contribute as an actor, if there was not more than one Black person in the writer's room, I can contribute till I'm blue in the face. It's never going to land, because if there's no one to receive, then they're not going to get it. So in order for these changes to take place, we need people in the rooms of power, more than one. One is not enough of anything, to be able to see things through and maintain the authenticity of the creation of the creator.
Perfect. That's awesome. So let's talk about Vampire Academy, because
Yes.
literally I've got a lot of friends that are obsessed with the books and obsessed
Oh, wow.
with the movie. So they've been in my ear and they've been like, oh, you need to ask this, you need to ask that. Who are you interviewing? And they're like, oh, he's the baddie, and all that jazz. So
look, that's why I stopped reading the book. That's why I stopped reading the book, because people would say, oh my God, Victor's one of my favorite villains. And I'm like, villain? Wait, what? Based upon the pilot script. And I was like, you know what? I got to put this book down, because I need to go on this journey. And I don't want to twirl my mustache or wink at the audience. And something like that, knowing myself, will cause me to do that. So I put the book down. And I was like, I'm going on this journey, and if I'm going to play everything honestly, and I'm going to find the reasons why I do the things that I do. And I think we did that. So, yeah.
So this comes out on the 15th of September, which is just around the corner on Peacock. If you could tell the world who you play and a bit about the show.
So on Vampire Academy, I play Victor Dashkov. Victor is a royal Moroi vampire, which means that I am one of 12 heads of family. We are on the Queen's Council, and we advise her about how we want our society to unfold. The show takes place in a world that's hidden from the current one that we live in. World of vampires. They have their own government, their own society, their own caste system. And because my children are adopted, my children are not given the same royal status that I have. And not just because they don't have the status, but because I feel that equality is necessary to a healthy society. My character is obsessed with changing the society that we live in, because again, it's very caste. It's a very caste system. So that's who I play. Victor, he's a political animal. He's probably the most regal and classy, elegant, beautiful character that I've ever played. And I can't wait for everybody to see it.
And what attracted you to the role? I mean, what really, blew out the page?
Honestly, I always wanted to return to the vampire genre, but as a vampire. So that was number one. Number two, it was an opportunity to go on a journey. Honestly, when I said yes, there wasn't a completed script. There was only the book. I knew we were shooting in Spain. From the audition material that I got, I had a sense that I was playing somebody who, like me, is obsessed with equality in society. So knowing that I connected in that way, and I would be playing a vampire, I was like, what's not to love? And living in Spain, what's not to love?
Will we see fangs?
I cannot answer that. I don't want to ruin anything. I want people to be able to enjoy the show and not know if somebody need to get bit by me, or by anybody. Ooh. You've seen fangs in the trailer, so there will be fangs for sure. But if you mean on me, I got to keep that secret.
Oh, we've got to watch it. So how was filming? Because did you film under quite a lot of restrictions? Because when did you actually film the actual show?
Yeah, we filmed under, you mean as far as COVID is concerned?
Yeah.
Restrictions? Yes, absolutely. We had intense COVID restrictions. It was, let's see, what month is this? So exactly a year ago is when we started. A year from now, which is August, September. So, we had a lot of, we had to work around COVID, obviously. We were shooting in Europe, which meant not a lot of back and forth. So I was kind of there for a lot of it for the 7 months, which it ended up taking. And the costumes and the look of the show are very unique, so we weren't allowed to post about it at all. So.
Yeah, that was on to my next question, because literally from the trailer and the pictures we've seen, it's very pleasing to the eyeballs. It really is. There's a lot of work that's gone into it. And you look very dapper, by the way, in that picture. Did you get a chance to keep anything from the show?
Not a thing, no. Unfortunately, it had to stay for hopefully season 2. But there were many things that I wanted. Let me see. I mean, I always steal one thing from every show that I work on. Let me see if I have what I stole from. Let me see if I have it here. Where is it? Oh, it's not here. Okay, I'm sorry. I had one thing that I stole close by. It's in the other room. But yeah, I always take one thing from everything. And no, I didn't take anything from Vampire Academy, unfortunately.
Well, that is a very good sign, because normally when I ask that question, normally it means a season 2. So that's very, very good. So fingers crossed. And we've seen you on screen in many roles, but what will the fans see from you in this role that they've never seen before?
Well, honestly, I feel like I'm doing the best work of my life right now. And this is definitely the first sort of elder statesman I've ever played. This is the first time that I've been required to lay on the gravitas, as they would say. And so that I knew was going to be a challenge, because I've never really had to lay it on in this way before. And I'm playing a character that, he speaks a certain way. He walks a certain way. I had so much fun with the character because it was very much like playing a character from Game of Thrones, but in a contemporary setting. So I got to have a lot of fun. Like, I got to play this, very like royal, regal character, but I also got to do things that are contemporary of this world. So, I mean, I know for a fact there's never ever been a character like this on television, and I had just a ball creating him.
And I'm sure the fans are going to absolutely love it. And talking about the fan base, like with all the fans of the books, I'm sure that they're going to watch it and say a few things, because what they don't realise is that the books don't always interpret what's going on to the screen. So how closely is the show compared to the books, or is it slightly different?
When I was in film school, or when I went to USC, and in film school, I took a class. I didn't go to film school. It was in the film school. And the teacher said, a book is not a movie and a movie is not a book. So that being said, there are different mediums. And as a result of the tenets and requirements and constraints of the medium, one is not the other and the other is not, so different things are required for a TV show versus a book. So, listen, I've been there. I've gone to see that movie that was my favorite book or whatever, and sometimes I loved it, and sometimes I felt like, oh, they missed this, they missed that. I wish this character was like this and that character was like that. It's unavoidable, and sometimes you watch things, I hope that the audience will give it a fair shake, is all I'm trying to say.
And like I always say, is that when someone reads a book, that movie is in their mind. They're making that movie themselves. So whoever's taken this book and transferred it to screen, it's going to be different. But at least the flag is flying, and we're seeing another interpretation of it, compared to the film. So you're no stranger to fandom when it comes down to blockbuster shows like Angel and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So with the Vampire Academy fan base, have you been approached by any of the fans yet on social media trying to get any information or any interactions?
Absolutely, and they've been great. They've really embraced us, and argue for us to have a fair shake at this material. They've been really great. A lot of fan art already. I love working in this realm. Jay-Z said that your gift is not for the purpose of fame or money. Your gift is for you to experience the world. And because of Angel, I've gotten to see the world. I've gotten to travel all over the world in a very unique way that most people don't have the opportunity to. I get to go somewhere and be introduced to thousands of locals instantaneously. Who else gets that experience? So I love working in this medium because I hope that this show gives us all and my castmates who are just starting out in their careers the opportunity to travel all over the world, meet fans, meet interesting people. I mean, I have friends and people that I communicate with online to this day who I met a decade ago or 2 decades ago at a convention. I mean, it's a beautiful genre to work in.
And without your NDA exploding, what can we look forward to from the show if you could sum it up?
A wild ride, a unique world that you've never been invited into, and some wonderful characters, wonderful storytelling, and wonderful performances. And dope costumes.
Oh, it just looks amazing. The sets and just the costumes are just absolutely fantastic. So a few questions left, and these are very deep questions. So let's fast forward 30 years. What would you like people to say about you as an actor?
That he was very versatile. That I would just love it if people could say, wow, there was really not much he couldn't do. He really invested in each world that he was invited into and felt as comfortable as the furniture. I would love that to be my legacy.
And if you could travel back in time, knowing what you know today, what would you say to yourself when you were starting out?
It ain't that serious.
Is that for any particular reason?
I take the work very seriously. I don't take the industry seriously at all.
And what's next for you? Obviously you're on The Rookie. Is it a case of putting your feet up and enjoying Vampire Academy's release?
Yes, absolutely. I don't rush into working again. Like I worked for 7 months on this show. I'm not in a hurry to work again. Boom. I mean, I don't know what it is, but there's been such a shift, and people always talk about the 40s, the 50s, but I feel like now is only now when I'm really experiencing what I was promised about the 40s. And they always said, you just get this, I don't care attitude. And I don't care is the wrong word. Laissez-faire is not the wrong word. I mean, it's not the right word. But there's just a comfort and an ease. So I used to feel like my value depended on, oh my God, can I get in another job? People in this town do that to you, and they make you feel like if you don't work right away, you're not relevant and blah, 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 blah. Nope. I'm not in a hurry to go back to anybody's set. It'll have to be the right thing, and there we go.
That's awesome. And any plans on going to meet the fans at conventions?
Not immediately, no. I don't know. I need to reinvestigate what's going on with the con world. I don't know what COVID has done to it or not done to it. I know that there have been virtual cons, but I don't know about the cons like the classic cons like I used to go to. I don't know if they are still happening, who the players are anymore, none of those things. So hopefully I'll find out soon.
Yeah, I mean, the conventions are going strong in the UK because COVID is under control.
Nice.
And everyone's enjoying it, which is great. So we'd love to see you over in the UK because have you been to the UK before? I presume you have.
Many times.
Awesome.
Many times. In fact, I think my very first convention was in the UK, and I only went because I always wanted to go to London. So I believe that was the very first con I ever did. It was either there or Sydney, Australia. One of those two. But at that time, agents and managers told actors not to go to cons because they said it was bad for your career. You would look like you were broke and you needed the money. And I was like, I want to travel. And so I said yes. And, my managers and agents at the time, I shouldn't even say this out loud, but they didn't even take a commission because they look down their nose at that world. Now, every agency has a department dedicated to conventions. So that's the difference from when I first started. I mean, they didn't even take a commission on it. And then the hard part about conventions now is that, when I used to go to conventions, like, we'd be some of the biggest names there, right? And now you got the actual Avengers from the movies at these conventions, so it's a different climate.
To be honest, though, I would rather meet you over Robert Downey Jr. Any day.
Thank you.
So I'd love you to come over to the UK at some point. But J. August Richards, you've been an absolute honour to have on the show. Look forward to Vampire Academy on the 15th of September on Peacock.
Yes.
But look after yourself, keep safe, and stay super, sir.
True pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for having me.